pleasure. Thank you, Lauren. It's good to be with you guys tonight. I'm gonna jump right into things and share my screen. So since I want to maximize our time together, but we're a small enough group that if you have any questions, then just feel free to shout out and we can address them. So I really have two parts to this presentation tonight. The first part is kind of just talking about where we are now in the world with regard to our current situation as Jews and as people who care about Israel, and also need to be fundraising during this time. And the second part is more traditional focus on what is a crowdfunding event, how does it work, what are the roles and responsibilities of committee members. So to jump right in, fundraising now, fundraising always is, it could be a challenging task. I think it's a very rewarding task, and with the right training could be actually a fun thing to do. But for many people, asking for money is intimidating. And thinking about asking for money at a time when we know people are having a difficult time emotionally, people's dollars are tied up, and there's a strong emphasis on Israel, as there should be, feels almost like a challenging thing to do. And so what do we do as lay leaders in an organization that needs to continue its fundraising in order to keep the lights on, in order to keep, I really believe, a strong believer in mission-based fundraising. So in order to achieve your very important mission. So I'll share a couple of slides on this topic, and that will lead smoothly into our conversation about crowdfunding. So, right now, you guys are all sure familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of need. And usually that's, I kind of adapted that to make sense for where we are now as Jews, right? When our survival is threatened, right? Then that's our key focus. So if we don't have food and water, if we don't have safety, it's hard for us to think about growth and self-actualization. So similarly, if the state of Israel is in an insecure place, or anti-Semitism is up, it's hard for people to think about flourishing and growing Jewish life. So that's important for us to just acknowledge and understand. And I started fundraising like during the 2009 recession after graduate school, and I was like, this is like really hard. Nobody's giving money. And it wasn't because I wasn't doing a good job, it was because it was a recession. And so we have to, usually fundraising is like a 1 in 3 chance of, it's like baseball, like that's a good record, right? And so we have to understand going into this that we may get no's and we may get less, but that we need to go out there and make the effort and to have I'm not saying to not try or to but to have realistic, but aggressive, but realistic expectations. So what looks like aggressive this year may not be aggressive for another year, but for right now, your ability to reach, we were just talking beforehand about the $800,000 goal instead of $1 million goal for Project Inspire is really terrific, because there's more obstacles to overcome. And these 3 things, Israel, anti-Semitism, Jewish life and living, they are all really important. And I think a case it needs to be made for, look, if like our enemies, our opponents would see the work of Project Inspire, they would say, it's all bad, right? Supporting Israel is bad. They would not like any of it. And so the point is that we are all on the same team here. We are all working to advance the Jewish future, Jewish values. This is what the state of Israel is about, right? This is why we need to combat anti-Semitism, to protect the values that we have and the lifestyle and our Torah and our way of life. And that is really our values. So that is really very closely tied, I know, to what's going on in the world, and it's a very relevant message. So your unique value proposition is, what do you do that nobody else does, and why is it important? Why should somebody fund it? Why should they fund it now? Okay, so what is it that you do no one else does? Why does it require somebody's investment, and why should they give it now? So Lauren has shared with me a couple of paragraphs about your messaging, which I think you're going to all get by December 6th. And that messaging includes a lot of content on Jewish unity. So that is Project Inspire. Their unique role is being able to amplify and to advance Jewish unity, to share unique messages. And I have this system that you have to reach out to people that may not otherwise be able to reach out. So really being able to target that unique value proposition and to connect it to what's going on in the world. And that will really help to prepare you. One of the other things I want to acknowledge is that we may feel as fundraisers a sense of guilt, right? We talked about that, that we don't want to be taking donors' money away from Israel. We understand that hierarchy, right? But I think that now is a time to really ask donors to step up. We are not talking about taking dollars away from Israel. We are talking about asking donors to support all three of these things because, Israel, combating anti-Semitism, and Jewish life and living, because they're all really important. So some organizations are focused on the urgent needs in Israel, and others are taking on important aspects of the future of the Jewish people. And that is where Project Inspire provides its value. Any questions so far? Okay. So once we know that we have to create that script, which is in the works right now, and then everybody needs to be on the same page, sharing the same message. I think this is different than COVID in many ways, but in some ways, we know we learned some important lessons, and those are our best practices still hold true. Our fundraising is relationship-based, it's mission-based. We need to communicate regularly with our audiences, and our messaging needs to be consistent. So that guilt that we have, to validate it and to channel it, that we are looking to use our roles to strengthen the Jewish people at a time that's really needed and important. So here we have that unique connection to Israel. Important to talk about how Project Inspire facilitates that connection, but to make that connection, but don't overstate it. We're not trying to aggrandize anything.
I have a question, Rachel.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is like exactly what you're like. I mean, it's sort of a tangent a little bit to what you're saying, but if we either ask somebody to take out an ambassador page, or we go to somebody and ask them just for a donation for our personal pages, and their response is, sorry, not right now, I'm focused on giving to Israel. Like, do you suggest that we try to then like push back a little bit and like connect our cause? We're not going to pretend that we're giving directly because we're not, but like, I guess, how do you approach that? Where you just sort of
I would say I understand and respect that. I think, and personally, make it personal, I'm also giving more to Israel than I ever have, when I'm thinking about how to allocate my charitable dollars. But at the same time, I am trying to maintain my gifts to the other organizations that I am giving to, because I understand that all of these things are connected, that the sense of Jewish unity that we felt over the last few weeks, we are in a unique position to foster that and to capitalize on it and amplify it. And we are able to ensure that really important outcome of the war, like kind of the silver lining of it. We've been working on that for years, and we are experts at it, and we've had tremendous success. And we want to, that unity is so important to see us through this time. And we want to capitalize on that. And we want, so that whatever your message is, think about, or however it connects to Israel, to bring it back and say, I respect and understand that not everyone's able to give now. If you're able to give something, when you get a no, then to try to get something you're going to is going to be, a win for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So it could be good. And also if there are a couple of examples of stories or grassroots efforts of work on the ground that your volunteers or members or community is doing to either support Israel, to promote this unity, to strengthen the work that you're doing. This, personal stories are always great. Not everyone has time if you're making a call on the phone, but where you can work it in an email, or if the opportunity lends itself on a call, people like to, we talk about appealing to the mind and appealing to the heart, right? So when you think about the big picture, what are, the big picture stats, we impact this many people every year, but then when you personalize and make it about one individual, that's really tangible and something that people can envision. So it's good to have that balance. Okay, so these are areas that, may or may not be relevant, that you can highlight as well. All right, so we talked a little bit about defining what success looks like in this climate, and it may, be a year where success looks differently than in other years. But that's not a reason to get discouraged. It's all the more reason to do it because it's needed. So let's talk about any questions about any of that before we dive into crowdfunding. Okay. So what is why a crowdfunding campaign? And just since we're a small group, raise your hand or your virtual hand to show me how many of you have been involved in a crowdfunding campaign for Project Inspire or another organization as a layperson in the past. Okay, Shifi has. I only see Shifi and Shulamis. So if anyone else is able to either put on their video for a minute or just give me a virtual hand raise. Shalamis, you have been. Okay. Okay.
Most of that, I can speak on behalf of this group that like most of the people on this call have been.
Okay. All right. So then this should be familiar to you, right? An organization runs a crowdfunding campaign to engage with people, the people in your organization, to create that sense of momentum. Why do people wait until December 31st to give? Because we are procrastinators by nature, and we in fundraising use create that sense of urgency as a reason to give. So a time-bound crowdfunding campaign gives us permission to make that call and ask for that annual gift. It's an opportunity to deepen relationships with supporters, both members of the committee, people who are matching or doing like accelerator type of gifts, the mid-level gifts. It's an opportunity to reconnect with constituencies, to share social media, to share stories with them and update them about the work that you're doing. It's an opportunity to expand your volunteer base of leaders. So even though all of you have been on this, hopefully this video will also be shared with some who have not had the opportunity to volunteer. And this is a good opportunity to engage those people. And it's, again, easier to secure leadership. It's a good opportunity to use as a pipeline because it's kind of a contained project that has a start and end date. And it supports the overall work of the organization. Okay, why does a crowdfunding campaign work? So people often think that philanthropists, or when people give, even not philanthropists, just regular people, they're giving because they've put some thought into how they prioritize their giving. For the majority of people, they give to the organizations that approach them. Okay, so it's kind of like the path of least resistance. People are not necessarily proactive when it comes to their philanthropy. This is broadly speaking. Obviously, you have your exceptions and your foundations that hire consultants and staff to think about philanthropic priorities and what areas do we want to be funding and where can we have the most impact. But for most people, they give because they ask, right? It's like people are friends with those who live in a close geographic proximity. People, if your shul, your mikvah, your school is going to reach out to you, you will give. So that's an indicator for us that if we ask, we will already get something. We talked about also that sense of urgency and that is created by a crowdfunding campaign and the permission to ask that it provides. And you have a team goal that everybody is working towards. All of the team pages roll up to that overall goal. So there's both personal accountability and that like team mentality that we're all trying to do this together. So this is really what like this little drawing and shows us how crowdfunding works. So the house is the organization, and the person there in the middle is you, and those are all the people that you reach out to. So whereas you have that connection to the organization, the people beyond you are one step removed. And so you act as the conduit, the amplifier to enable their gifts to the organization. And this is a great opportunity for the organization if they have 10 people that are replicated like this and they're reaching, 50 people. And each of these people then the organization has the responsibility. Yeah, they're going to get that gift today, but the opportunity, I should say, to further engage them and to prove to them why they should give beyond their connection to you. We like to say a good prospect is what we call CPR, capacity, passion, and relationship. So the relationship is their connection to you or someone else at the organization. The capacity, obviously, the ability to give. And in the middle, the passion, do they care about the cause? And so as a crowdfunding campaign done well after the campaign is over is utilizing those donors and sharing with them, educating them, engaging them about the work of the organization so that next year it's not just, I called my friend and she gave, but it's my friend now has an understanding of the amazing work that Project Inspire does and wants to give on their own. And they have that personal stake. They have that personal, they're now a stakeholder because they believe in the mission. They are mission aligned. Any questions? Okay. Into something now. Okay. So the role of a solicitor is to educate your donors about the campaign and about your cause, to motivate them to give, to amplify that by asking them to spread the word and to secure their gifts. Okay, so what do you need for success? Usually when I do this training, we spend some time doing role playing because we have our case for support or talking points we're asking for. You're going to be receiving that from Project Inspire in the coming weeks. When you get it, just become comfortable with it. Make it your own as much as, yes, we want consistency in language. It should really feel like, why is it important to you? Talk about when you have those calls. What is it about this organization that resonates with me? I care about Project Inspire because of X, Y, and Z. And I'm asking, and what I'm doing about it is making my own gift and taking on this role of a team leader and talking to you about it. And what I would like you to do is to consider giving a gift. And this is just kind of a sidebar, when you ask someone to give a gift, look at their giving from last year, and that should be the baseline. It doesn't hurt you, especially if you're calling someone from like a calling list, so you really don't have a relationship, but it really doesn't hurt. There's nothing, you're not losing anything by asking for more. You ask for more, you will get more. So I definitely recommend asking higher and asking for a specific. Can you see me? Okay, I'm so sorry about that. I'm having some internet trouble at my house. Let me see. Lauren, I sent you the slides. Are you able to share them?
Yes, hang on one second.
Okay, I can also try to get back on my computer,
You
but
emailed them to me? I don't see it.
Yeah, I just did.
Okay, so hold on, it's gonna come through yet. Didn't come through yet.
Okay, let me try getting on this way one more time. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm joining back from my computer.
No problem.
Here we are. Okay. I apologize for that. I'm going to share my screen again.
Perfect.
We'll get back to it. Okay. All right. Here we go. Can everyone see?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So the ingredients for a successful campaign: strong case for support. That's what you're going to get from Project Inspire. Learn those bullet points, become comfortable with them, practice them. Pretend you're making a call to your husband or to your kids, and you feel silly, but you put yourself in that spot, and you will be more comfortable doing it when the time comes to be on the call. And give yourself a couple of easy ones to start with. That's a good tip to help you just kind of warm you up and get into the groove. So qualified donors, you want to have a list of donors, either people that are in your contacts or that have given in the past, that you'll be reaching out to. Obviously, the more new people you reach, the higher the goal will be, the more you'll be able to raise. Hands-on committee, that's you guys, another very important component to success. Social media presence. So when I do a crowdfunding campaign, I like to have social media that is shared by the organization, and you guys can reshare, as well as emails that go out updating donors, not only on the progress of the campaign, but highlighting different aspects of your theme is hand in hand. So, different examples of how your organization takes that approach. Volunteers. If you're able to get additional people to host their own campaign page, to adopt a goal for, in honor of someone else for their birthday, just as a fun challenge, another great way to up your goal. And teams, another great way. You could have your own fundraising page or your community or whatever it is. And I know you guys this is part of your campaign. Teams is a great way to build in that friendly competition and that collaborative mentality of everybody participating to reach a team goal. Any questions about this? Okay.
Question. I just don't remember when we're supposed to ask our ladies to have pages, right? But when do we ask them that? We're supposed to wait.
Lauren, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, Rena, ideally right now that's supposed to be happening because
But don't we need something to give them? Like some kind of video or something?
So we had emailed it out. Kayla sent it out already, I believe either last week or even the week before, which we could re-forward to you. It's really just sort of like a teaser video, just as promo, which you certainly can use just as like the first reach out to them. Past that, generally, we're not planning on providing too much until December 6th, because December 6th is still 10 days prior to the campaign. Majority of this fundraising is going to actually happen December 17th when the campaign is live. So we didn't want to go too much earlier than that, because then it sort of gets lost in the shuffle. So we did send out, and I'll make sure to re-forward it to Irina, the teaser video that we had to send out to people. But for right now, definitely is a timing to be asking people to sign up for pages. And on our end, we actually have an email going out tomorrow, for example, from Yessi, just saying, thank you for signing up to be ambassadors, so that people are not hearing from us for the next 3 weeks. But he is saying in the email, just like it's a personal thank you email, letting people, reminding people that they'll be getting all the information that they need. Everything will be, given to you. So you don't really have to do anything other than just try to fundraise. But we'll send it all the scripts, etc. And that'll all be given out on December 6th.
Okay, thank you.
Right, but it's absolutely now, yesterday, last week, we have, I think, 27 ambassadors signed up, and definitely we're looking for all the, invested people in all the branches to be taking pages.
Especially, by the way, just to add one more thing, and then I'll turn it back to Rachel, is just that a reminder, which Rena, I imagine you know this already, but just that, and Shifi and everybody, and Shalamis, and Cheryl, whoever's on, that all the money that, people are raising towards your branch, you guys are getting 50% of it. So it's definitely also helpful that the more that you guys can fundraise, the more money you'll walk away with also.
Okay, great. So this is the main, I'm not going to get into the details, especially because we're about a month away from the campaign of all the prep work that happens before a campaign. But the main point to make here is that a campaign, when fundraising seems like magic, it's like any good magic trick. It looks really easy, but it was all of the work and planning and prep in advance that actually led to the success of the campaign. So what a typical crowdfunding campaign actually fundraises that the matching money, not only the 50% of the campaign in advance, but also the additional mid-level gifts that you're asking people to commit to in advance to give those gifts on the day of, so that, or to line up those gifts for you to be publicized on the day of, so that you can really focus in on those calls and the lower level gifts. And when I say lower level, I mean like under $1,000 or so, or under, it depends on your organization, under $1,800, under $2,500, something like that, to be able to just kind of breathe a little easier on the day of that most of that money is raised. Okay. So at this point, now you're kind of in the end zone here in the last 3 or 4 weeks of your campaign. And so you're working on educating the committee. You guys are doing that now. Hopefully mid-level gifts and building out, which is exactly where you are, the collateral marketing material, the web page, the social media, the case for support. Any other questions about this? As you get closer, we'll focus in on additional committee training, logistics, staging for the campaign, tweaking messaging, and recruiting and bringing on more volunteers. And then I have this here, the day of the campaign itself, disseminating the emails that you've prepared, getting people hyped up for the campaign and creating that sense of energy, making the calls, sending the emails, recognizing donors, also another great way to motivate people, posting thanks, tagging friends who have given to the campaign, because then other friends will see it and say, oh, I want to get that kind of recognition as well. Okay, so how to be a good committee member, an effective committee member. First thing is, if you're going to be a committee member, very helpful to make your own generous gift to the campaign, because it's much easier to say, please join me in this effort than can you give, right? When they know you're calling me as a volunteer, not someone who gets a paycheck from this organization, but someone who cares about it and who's invested by, you voted with your feet by making a gift yourself. That is a big important message to share. To keep up that team spirit, we talked about the momentum that's created during the campaign. It really does push people. First of all, it's a lot of fun. And second, it really does push people to think, okay, I'm going to make this additional call. There's someone that, I haven't reached out to, but I'm going to now that we're in the mindset of it and the campaign is going and there's this energy and excitement, and it creates just like success, feeds on success. So to keep up that activity, that high level of energy during that time, like the adrenaline kicks in and you're moving during that time. The positive energy, share your successes. Do you guys also have a WhatsApp group for the campaign, like this leadership?
We are planning on it, yes.
Okay, I like to do that. And it's a great place also to share successes, stories like, I just reached somebody who didn't give a gift in 3 years, and I told them about, this personal story, and they just told me they're going on and making a $500 gift, whatever, share those and then keep the emojis going and the fun, and that helps keep things moving. Ask more, ask higher, which we spoke about as well. Okay, so we want to encourage others to set their own team pages with their own goals, encourage friends and family to give, use the talking points, create that team page, share progress toward the goal and about the campaign throughout the day to the people that you are engaging. post on social media, so you're amplifying that exposure, and the follow-up to remind friends to make a donation. This one I think is really important because during a typical day, so many messages, especially now, I don't know about you guys, but my WhatsApp is like on fire, to send a reminder at the end of a day, right? If I'm on a work call or I'm like distracted with news going on, which I just saw now, hostage deal, like, I don't know if you guys saw that in the couple minutes that I was off. If then it's really important to make the reminder, and that often helps people. Like if I reach out to someone in the morning, before, hey, our campaign is closing in 3 hours, just wanted to remind you, if you don't have a chance yet to make your gift, so please do it. That second, I also like to remind people that for you, this is your priority, but for them, this is coming after so many other things in their lives, right? Their family, their jobs, their kids, their own volunteer commitments, other things, their health, whatever is going on in their life. So it's really important to send that reminder. So anyone that you don't hear back from, don't think that they just haven't send that friendly text like, reminder, campaign is closing in a few hours. Thanks so much for giving if you're able to. Not pushy, just a great way to bring people's focus back. This is just an example of a crowdfunding campaign. You guys have a different goal, but again, important to think, and this is more like for leadership and for planning for the overall structure of the campaign. Are you looking, and I'm not sure if this is something that Project Inspire needs your help with. Laura, maybe you could speak to this. Are you guys asking for committee members to help with closing any gifts in advance of the campaign, or is their work mostly focused on the day out?
Yeah, the women on this call, this is not relevant.
Okay. And so the goal is to try to again close a lot of gifts in advance, and then try to get people who haven't given to other campaigns in the past. These are the key components of a crowdfunding campaign. We all focus on the fundraising, but there's really the marketing, the technology, the committee education, and the fundraising, and all of these pieces come together on the day of the campaign, in advance and on the day of the campaign to make it happen. Here's just an example of some of the results from a campaign that I was involved in. So the point here is really that leveraging the fundraising teams makes a real difference. This is data from a campaign that I did, which is also another important point, that it would be great after the campaign to debrief, as a group, to talk about how you did, what areas were strong, but generally, consistently, I found that the teams are a great strategy that bring in additional dollars. You could see here that 70% of this particular campaign's goals, funds were raised through teams, and 76% of total donations were through teams. So that makes sense since the relationship piece is so important in crowdfunding, that people are often giving to support a friend's efforts. Okay. Any questions about any of the slides that I shared, or any of the thoughts about fundraising generally during this time, about your comfort level with the messaging or fundraising, and any questions about the crowdfunding campaign and the roles and responsibilities of a committee member?
I have a question. Can you speak more about managing the committee? So, as you know, our actual campaign is 3 days, December 17, 18, 19. I know that last year I really tried to line up all of my gifts in advance and ended up raising more than I committed to,
Right.
because I started early.
Great.
But the women on this call are leaders of different branches, so their teams, or is team synonymous with committee? And their committees are the participants in their branch who are they're asking them to take pages and then having to manage to make sure that they are reaching their goals.
Yeah. So in this case, each woman would have, this is like the kind of the steering committee. Like this is the group that's that is comprising the whole campaign, and within each branch, the creation of a team page would be like Pittsburgh. I'm making this up. I don't know, but Pittsburgh,
Long Island.
Long Island, great,
Yeah.
Long Island. So all of the members of, and that I mean, Lauren can talk about the capabilities on the platform that you're using, Charity, but most campaigns allow you to have a team goal and then an individual goal that rolls up to the team goal. So if I wasn't on the Long Island team, I could say my personal goal is going to be $1,800, and that is rolling up to the Long Island goal, which is $50,000. So and then I would send friends my personal link, but it should be part of that team goal. And some organizations will suggest a minimum for committee members. It depends on your culture, how comfortable people are with doing this, how much participation you have. Like it may make sense to start slower and just ask everyone to have a team page or to buy into the team page, or if they want to create their own individual page that rolls up the team page. But it's important to have 100% participation of the committee. Any other questions?
If you look like
We do like a little bit of practice. I know you guys don't have your talking points yet, but if anybody is feeling brave and wants to take the opportunity to do like a practice solicitation using kind of like the messaging that I shared about Jewish unity. Now it's our crowdfunding campaign. Would you give a gift of X or Y? Is anybody interested in giving that a try?
we haven't exactly sent out so much for them
Okay.
to even, like I'm saying, so it's a little tricky right now.
hard.
It's more, I think it's more at the point on this call for that they're recruiting ambassadors. They're recruiting people to take pages. So these are people who are bought into our message and have benefited from our organization. So that's really more the task at hand, is to be filling up their teams with ambassadors.
Yeah. And I think that doing a training for those ambassadors, whether, you guys are just kind of spending a half hour on a call, going over the messaging with them, doing a practice round, talking about how crowdfunding works and why it works, because the number one reason that people give is because they're asked, and the model of, amplifying the impact is, I think, really what will make people comfortable enough to do it. So I think that's definitely something I would add, before you start, to have that little powwow with the group so that they're feeling comfortable.
Yeah,
The last
I think
thing
that
to say
also
is-
just, it seems, my impression based on, your presentation, but just in general, is just that a lot of the reason why crowdfunding is, successful is because it's getting the crowd. And I think that, like, I don't know, I can't speak to, the specific women in this call and how they're going to manage their, their groups, but I almost wonder if, like, Shiffy or Rena are on the call right now, and Sephora's on from Long Island. Like, I almost wonder if if you start getting like 5, of your, what we're calling your participants, and maybe not your leaders per se, you guys are the leaders, but 5 of your participants on, and then suddenly everyone realizes, like, oh, they're doing it. So then suddenly, like, it becomes more of like a viral thing and everyone wants to take part in it. Like, I feel like that's the way this sort of needs to happen. It's like, we need to get like the first bunch of people on board in order to get other people being like, oh, I also want to do this. Like, I feel like it's almost like a positive peer pressure feel.
Definitely. Yeah. And to use that, I mean, that's another big fundraising tool, right? Like, these are the people that were so excited. We have such a great response to our campaign. The following people are part of our committee. Would you join us? Is a great way to get people to participate. And then the other thing that I was going to say is that we talked about asking for numbers, right? And then the other thing that I do, which is important to remember about any fundraising training, you've probably learned this, is when you ask somebody to give a gift, would you please consider a gift? I would love it if you consider a gift of $500. Then what you do is you stop and wait, and you have that moment of, or a couple of seconds of discomfort, even quiet. And if that's hard for you, my colleague taught me this. I would love if you would consider a gift of $500 to Project Inspire's campaign. Literally take a drink of water to make you stop talking, because the person who talks next has the onus of the response. Okay, so you want that to be the person on the other end. Yeah. I once did a training for someone who sold Mary Kay makeup, and she would say the person who speaks first goes home with the product, right? So it's a little bit of the game of chicken. Like you want that the person who speaks first is going to be, they're going to be making the larger gift. So that's what you want. And remember, also always think, this is an opportunity to, whether they say yes, whether they say no, I'll think about it in this environment. And always you want to be thankful to your donors. And if they say, I want to think about it, don't just let them off the hook with that, but really you want them to absolutely, can I get back to you? Our campaign closes in 2 days. Can I call you back tomorrow or in 2 days or whatever it is? Give them a specific, when is the good time, so that you're able to close the deal. Any questions? All right. Well, it was nice to get to know you all a little bit tonight, to speak with you, and wishing you the best of luck with your campaign.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
My pleasure. Take care, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you, Rachel.
Bye.
Thank you, ladies, for being on.